or if you play Warhammer, you're familiar. You need to get like in tune with the gold and the silver because there's a lot of like weapons and stuff. There's a lot of reason to use metallic paints. So might as well find like something that makes you love it. This is a question I get kind of a lot. Like I've seen this, and every other stream I think I get this question. What's the best metallic paint for miniatures? And I know a thing or two about metallic paint because I really like metallic paint. I paint like a bunch of metallic armies. So I love these paints. So let's talk about this, right? First of all, we'll talk about a couple of the good ones. We'll talk about the bad ones. We'll explore a couple of ranges, and we'll try to make this make sense. Now, obviously, most of the ones I have are the good ones because why would I not have the good ones? But I think the first thing that we want to talk about is really why are metallic paints so on and off, right? Or yes or no, hot and cold. They're really, either they work really well or they are like complete trash. The in-between is really rare, where you get like a, you know, it's sort of work. It's usually, this is the best thing ever, or this is complete trash, you know, keep it 50 feet from me. Metallic paint is not done the same as regular paint, meaning all the metallic, like what gives the metallics a metallic like sheen to it is actual flakes. That's why sometimes when you rinse your brush, you're gonna see actual like flakes of metal like floating on top of like your paint water, is because that's what the paint is. It's medium and actual flakes. And then the flakes are, of course, different color. And then a bunch of these mediums have like a tint to them as well to change the consistency, the opacity of a lot of paints. But that's the biggest difference, is that the pigment is not the same because it's actually chunks of metal that you get. And so the quality of these little chunks is the same as the quality of pigments, where they affect a lot of how the paint works, but also the quality of the medium and the tint of the medium defines how opaque they are, right? So if you have like a lot of pigments for the medium, when you paint normally it's very see-through, you don't get like good coverage. It's a little bit wild to consider because they are so different. This is also why if you mix normal like non-metallic paint into metallic paint, you get usually a bad result. It's not necessarily bad. There's stuff that you can do, but in your mind, what you're thinking, oh, I'm going to add blue to this silver, it's not going to give you what you think it's going to give you. Because the medium and then the flakes don't get tinted. The flakes usually stay the same. And so what you end up having is like kind of a base coat of blue, for example, using the blue example, and then silvery like flakes on them. It's not, you don't get like a clear blue like a car, you know, like a candied like look. Kind of, I guess the first like beginner mistake, like everybody's done that. They're like, oh, I'm just gonna add white to this gold to make it lighter. Terrible idea. Because again, I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm not saying there's nothing to do. I'm just saying what you imagine is gonna happen, it's never that. Which brings us to kind of our next metallics. There's really three main ones, right? They're the silver, gold, and bronze, and then everything else is kind of a declination of one or multiple of these. Right? Because if you think about it, you know, like brass is a lot of gold and a little bit of silver. Platinum is a lot of silver and a little bit of gold. And then even bronze, it leaches into gold with like a lot of brown and orange. And then you get like tin, which is super dark bronze when you really think about it. So the three main like, you know, metal colors, right? Like gold, silver, and bronze are the main metallic colors, and then everything else is kind of a declination or an in-betweener from this. So that's why when we talk about the metallics, we can focus on these three main ones, because the other ones are just tints of the same thing, right? I guess let's start with the best silver of them all, which is one that I do not have. Vallejo Through Metal. Vallejo Through Metal is the best metal paint ever made. Now, I hear you, you know, but Max, well, if it's so great, why don't you have it? Well, Johnny, I'm going to tell you why. Okay? So the Vallejo Through Metal, they are super nasty to use. Okay? You need to thin them down really well. They dry super quickly. And they look best when they're like kind of not worked too much, or not too much like highlight, not too much shading. So, but they look the best. They dry and they're super good. They cover really well, but they are nasty to work with. Now, they're nasty when you do one mini, and the way I paint stuff is units and armies. So the fact that it's like kind of not unusable but near unusable, there's one that the gold is kind of the best gold ever. Let's pick a gold. This. Okay, so let's say, you know, Retributor armor is 80% of the quality of Vallejo True Metal Gold. That being said, this one, I can use it straight out of the pot, and I can airbrush with it with just a little dab of thinner, and I can paint my whole army with. So that 20% of like, the other one is clearly at least 20% better, but this one is super easy to use. So that is my cutoff, again, because that's how I paint most of the time armies in one go. So for me, the True Metal from Vallejo, they're not that, yeah, the quality is great, but the fact that they're so hard to use or so like nasty to use, they're not really hard, they're just nasty. It makes this much less desirable than something like Retributor armor. So that takes care of this, you know, this piece. It's kind of a disclaimer. If you talk about metallics and you say the best or whatever, you have to include them because they are, for all intents and purposes, they are the best. They just have a little asterisk next to them that says, but you're gonna, you know, hate your life when you're using them. Because again, if you paint one mini or if you paint busts or whatever, just one at a time, you're gonna have you're gonna have an okay time. You know, it doesn't work for me in my army painting thing, right? If you're painting like a whole army, that's probably not for you because you're gonna hate yourself. And this is kind of the theme here for these ones, which this is the one that I have now. I think bearing one, they're the one that I use the most commonly. And the reason why I like these specifically is that they work really well and easily. So these all cover really well, and they give me like a very good result. So the simplicity to result is like the kind of the high ratio. So very opaque, all of them, and easy to use and like the good consistency and everything. So let's start. Well, there's like Army Painter here, and then there's the Games Workshop. So let's talk about the Games Workshops at Citadel first. And you can see I got 5 of those here. Gold, Runelord Brass and Retributor Armor are the 2 best gold out there. They're the 2 of the best. This one has like a lot more yellow. This one they call brass, but I think if you're looking for like a clean gold, like a not, you know, this is very cartoony because it's like super yellow. This one is a lot more toned down. I like this one the best. This is probably my favorite gold. This is the one I use the most because you can, this color, you add Seraphim Sepia to it is great. You add a Grok Searchshade to it, it's great. So you can play a lot with it, or you can even use like contrast with like yellow, contrast Guilliman Flesh on it to give it like more tone. I like this one a lot because it's very sober. If you have like dark and muted minis, this is a great gold to add to them because it doesn't make it pop like this one. On all my Ultramarines, I use this one. Retributor Armor covers like nobody's business. Also, these might be old. I think they removed the white caps now, the new Citadel thing, I think. But so Retributor Armor, I use this a lot. Like on my Ultramarines are all done with this. I think Retributor Armor and Guilliman Flesh contrast on top of it is probably like the easiest and like the best gold that you can have. It just works. It gives you great contrast and a great like shiny color. So I like that a lot. So these are my 2 favorite golds. And then for silver, the Games Workshop one, there's really only 2, and they're Lead Belcher, and I use this one, I don't know if you can tell, but the pod's empty because I painted a fuck ton of Necrons. And I use both the air and the regular one, but not interchangeably. The air one is great, but it's definitely not the same color as the base, like the regular Lead Belcher. The air Lead Belcher is very matte. It's less shiny, which is what I like, but I use it with a brush or an airbrush. This one, it's a little bit less good than the regular one with a brush because it's not meant to do that, but it works. But I use this like a whole lot. Like all my Necrons are painted with the air Lead Belcher. There, I think it's a great color because it's, again, less shiny. And so it's one I like, but it's not the same. Like this, it has the same flaw as like most airbrush paints, which is it's hard to get the same finish from like a brush than an airbrush, and the colors are different. So, but I like this one a lot. Like I'm not a big fan of the air ready paints in general. This one just happens to work. Also, it's a bigger quantity, so I like that. And then the Lead Belcher is pretty unfuckwittable, honestly. It's a darker silver, and it covers really, really well. Like dark silver is honestly it's hard to mess up. Like most brands, the darker silver, like there's at least one that's like really good. Pretty much my favorite. And then this one here I have it's Stormhost Silver, lighter. There's the other light silver from Games Workshop is called like Runefang Steel, I think, and it is like one of the worst ever. It transparent, doesn't cover. It's just terrible. This one, it's okay. Now I don't use this one the whole. I have it because I wanted to test it out. But in reality, this is the one I use. Shining Silver from the Army Painter is the best ever. Like this Shining Silver is probably the best metallic ever made. It's amazing. It does everything. You can highlight your gold with this. You highlight your silver with this. You can do a lot of like the rust effect with this. This one, it is just great. This Shining Silver is like it's just great. It's the light silver. And again, I've used this one. Like if your store doesn't have like Army Painter and then you're looking for like an equivalent, they're pretty much the same. But you know, Shining Silver just too good to pass on. And then, as I said before, they have like two darker silver, which is Bolt. I think it's Bolt Gun, and then Plate Mail. I've used those as well, especially because the Army Painter, their strength is that they match the cans. And since I like the can, like shaker cans primer, the paint do match, so that's great. And then I've used, Bolt Gun on a lot of minis to get like a good, like easy gold, easy silver on everything, and then touch up with a brush. So I've used those. For me, again, the dropper bottles are not great, so I don't tend to use those. But the silver are great. The gold are terrible. The Army Painter, they have a couple of gold. They are terrible. My buddy PL, he painted a bunch of his Chaos, and then and he hated it. And then he had Custodes, and he started painting them with the other gold from Army Painter. Hated it even more. They are not like the gold from terrible. Terrible. I don't know what it is. Maybe they changed. I honestly I gave up before they changed to the Warpaint Fanatic. They were just the Warpaints before. I should give them a go, but they were for what this, because the silver were so great. You were like, oh, this is gonna be this is gonna be great. It was not great. And then, which brings us to our next category, which is these two guys here. And you might have seen these guys in the Speed Paint review. Broadsword Silver and Oplite Gold. And I think there's another different gold. Doesn't matter. So these are from the Speed Paint range, and they're actual like silver and gold, which was kind of the contrast. Like they didn't have like metallics in them. They just had like, oh, you want to do silver with contrast, just use gray. But these are actually from the Speed Paint line, so contrast type of paint, silver and gold. But they are honestly some of the best metallic paints that you can buy. They don't do the Speed Paint thing very well, which is like, the shadow and the highlight thing is not that great at it. But they are super liquid, so they flow really well. So you want to do like large areas, which is the case for like if you play Warhammer, you're familiar. You need to get like in tune with the gold and the silver, because there's a lot of like weapons and stuff. There's a lot of reason to use metallic paints. So might as well find like something that makes you love it. And these things are really, really good. Like I've tried them because they were there and I thought it was unique. And I've tried. This is my third one. I've started using them, I think, like 6 months or so ago. And this is my third pot of Broadsword Silver, so I use it a lot more. Uplete Gold, I think, is still my first one. I use it much. Well, this one I painted the full army with this. So. But yeah, so I like this like a lot. These two are great, like metallic paints. Altogether. Not necessarily, again, the Speed Paint thing, I'm not too sure. I think you still need to shade them and maybe you can highlight them, but they cover really well even on black, and they flow super well. Which ties into the next thing, which I don't have any, and then the Vallejo Metal Color. And this is kind of a newer range from Vallejo. I think it came out last year. It's kind of a rebrand of some of the true metal, but making them more effective, and also from their main range. And so the metal color, Vallejo Metal Color, is some of the best, but they are very akin to these ones, whereas they are super, super thin, but they cover really well. There's two drawbacks to that line. The first one is like a Canada and USA problem, which is finding these paint pots. Is like Vallejo has like trouble with distribution. It's been going on for years. This is not like a new thing. They have a hard time like getting stocks in USA and Canada. So they're really hit or miss. So for me, this is a big deal breaker, meaning when I want paint, I don't want to wait like 6 months because the entire freaking America is out of that one paint, and you don't know when like the next like shipments are going to come in. So that's a big, for me, that's a big issue. Now for a lot of people it's not, but I don't really like not having access to paint on the regular, and that's a Vallejo thing in America for like has been for years. It's just a big distribution thing. The Vallejo metal range is I think 15 different colors, and like 13 of them are shades of silver. So it's really, there's 15 different like shades of silver, and then one gold, one bronze. So that's a little bit lackluster. They're really good. I mean, because I say this, but like the speed paint is 1 and 1, right? There's one gold, one silver for what I use, and so I read that the reason was that silver is the most used metallic for model airplanes. And I don't know I don't know enough about like military airplanes to know if that's, but apparently that's like the main reason is that this is made for model airplanes primarily, and that's, you know, they use a buttload of silvers for this because that's how planes are made or are. If that's true, that's true. If it's not, it's not, you know. So the Vallejo metal is very similar to this, meaning it's super liquid and they cover really well. The biggest drawback I think with these paints is that you cannot dry brush with them, and metallics are one thing that like are really, really good for dry brush. Like black undercoat or even like a dark metal undercoat, and then you dry brush a lighter color on top of it, is really, really good. So having a metallic color that you cannot dry brush with is kind of a not a deal breaker necessarily, but I think it's something that you can consider, right? Oh, speaking of dry brush, from the Citadel range, the Necron compound, I don't know where. It must be in the thing, but yeah, Necron compound is also a great one. Again, Necron compound, completely the opposite of what I just said. It is just for dry brush, but it's a lighter silver like this, but it's only for dry brush. But if that's what you're doing, like if you're doing like tank tracks, dry brushing on top of tank tracks is really like a foolproof way of doing tank tracks. Necron compound is like a really good one. So I think this kind of covers the metallics. As I said, you know, if you're painting Warhammer minis, you're gonna use like a lot of the metallics because most weapons and like a bunch of details, and also it's usually a cool color, so you might as well find something that you like and that you might as well find a way to enjoy it because you're going to be stuck painting it regardless, right? So that was kind of it, and then maybe on a later video of this topic, it's kind of interesting, we can talk about the color shift colors, which are metallics like that are like multiple colors that you can apply with your airbrush, or and we can also look at like colored metallics, right? Like blue and gold and whatnot with the pearl effect. So these are all things to consider. So we'll see, you know, if this raises more question. But I think this answers, you know, what's the best metallic paint for miniatures. These guys, you know, get these guys and you're in good to go. Can't say that word. This is a terrible video. I can't say the main word of the video correctly in English. True metal, the Vallejo True metal. The True metal. Thank you for watching this video. If you've enjoyed and found this useful, be sure to subscribe to the channel and let me know in the comments if there's anything else you would like me to talk about. I make all of these videos based on the questions from you guys.